Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's Matchday live and uncensored, but coming to you a few minutes earlier than normal. Well, about 15 minutes, because we wanted to be here when the teams were announced. Those teams would be... Oh, there's an important lesson in muting things behind camera. The teams will be announced in a couple of minutes and we'll be reacting to them as they come out. Chris Pajak is over in Social Media Corner. Chris, are you there, eagerly ready, like a tiger ready to pounce on these teams?
Of course I am. As soon as it comes out, you'll be the first to know, Paul. And the rest of Twitter.
And the rest of Twitter. About 2 minutes because of the delay. I'm joined in the actual studio then by Jack Hart and John Machin. We're all bright and early. Everyone feeling happy?
I was at home just thinking, I'll just have another look at the paper and see what
Jesus!
And then I sort of thought, I'll just have a look on Twitter, see what's going on. We're going live in 20 minutes. Thanks for telling me.
Doc, I'm late for school.
Good effort in that case.
Yeah, it
was.
But I imagine you haven't let the Huey Lewis in the news bursting out as you were chasing.
Still steam off my tyres.
Just getting to the game then, and I'm interested to know how people feeling at home on this. As always, you can interact with the show by the comment section alongside the video or by tweeting us at the Redmen TV. We're going to be a lot more of your comments and stuff as we progress through the show, because obviously we started earlier, we've got more time to fill. Jack, how are your nerves?
They've been switching back and forth all week, to be honest. I mean, there've been times when I've thought, there's going to be 7 games left after this for everybody involved. Just don't lose. But I think the loss the other week has probably shifted towards, it's really important to win this one. I had a chat with Chris the other night about it, and when you think of the points that we could be behind teams this week, it's tomorrow. It'll be seriously damaging if we don't get the points here, and then other teams do. So very nervous, I think, would be the answer. It's a huge game.
Yeah, this is the problem, and Jack sort of hinted at there. That is the early kickoff on a Saturday. This is make or break for your weekend before anyone else has kicked the ball.
That's the worst thing about it. I'm not really that nervous about the match, but I am thinking it's a long weekend. This, if you get beat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally a long weekend.
Well, maybe that's where the expression came from.
Yeah,
it's true, isn't
it? It's a very, very strange one. There's all kinds of panic going on behind camera. Let's talk for a while while these things about with this. I hate these games. Well, they're a double-edged sword, because if you win, your weekend is set. You get to stroll out into the sunshine at the end of the match.
Pressure's on everyone else.
Exactly. And you get to look forward to match of the day, and you get to blah 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 blah. But really, what's actually happening? What happens on the flip side of it is you get beat and your weekend's ruined before it's even started. You walk out, everyone's happy and smiling, getting their lives, and you want them all to die.
Well, in my head already, I'm telling myself that City, United, Southampton, Spurs have all already won, because that's the only way we can look at it. Really. Yeah. We have to look at it that way, as though we're playing the 4 o'clock Sunday game and everything else has been done already.
Yeah. So
we've got to get what we can out of this.
Yeah, sorry. I was give a little round of applause for the people behind camera there, like who've literally manically plugged and unplugged all kinds of stuff. And we still, if you wonder what the fuck was going on there for a couple of minutes, it's sorted now, because Chris Pajak is a goddamn hero. I think that's actually a great mentality to have, isn't it? That we kind of. And I think I said this a while ago, like, let's not worry too much about the teams ahead of us that we're not playing. Let's just presume they've all won and focus on our own stuff, because if hoping for these teams to drop points it's a dangerous mental game to get into.
Isn't it? I mean, if we don't get our own points, then it doesn't really matter, does it? So the thing is, concentrate on us winning, because if we don't, the consequences are desperate.
Yeah, I know, that's it. Are we're going to be talking obviously a bit more about Liverpool's situation in top 4 hopes and what have you once we come back. Chris, any updates on team news?
No.
Devos. Stay tuned as it happens. One thing then, obviously the starting lineup should be out momentarily, but Colo Touré, Jack, rumored to be starting. That was he was interviewed by the Echo and what have you. I've got no problem. Hello, we're going live to Chris Pajak, team news.
Right, here we go. Confirmed Liverpool team: Mignolet, Chan, Touré, Sakho, Allen, Lucas, Moreno, Henderson, Coutinho, Markovic and Sterling. No Daniel Sturridge. There you go. One more time. Mignolet in goal. It looks like Chan, Toure and Sakho at the back. Allen and Lucas as the two holding midfielders. Moreno and Henderson, or Moreno and Markovic probably, as the two wing-backs, with Henderson, Coutinho behind Sterling.
Okay, I'm going to randomly
baffling, isn't it? We'll quickly go down to the subs as well.
Give your thoughts on that then, please, Chris.
It's mental, to be fair. No Sturridge, of course. So, you know, his injury was probably real. Other than that, a midfield three. I'm actually quite happy, you know.
Henderson advanced then?
Well, it looks like it, or it could be Alan, Lucas and Henderson, which is something we talked about on the sub-show, didn't we, as the three of them in the midfield because of their attacking midfielders. Now, that could work. I think we probably need to fill the midfield slightly because of that. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a strange one, isn't it, really?
Do you want to just go through Arsenal's team as well?
Not really, Paul. Ospina, Bellend, Mertesacker, Koscielny, Monreal, Coquelin, Cazorla, Ramsey, Ozil, Alexis and Giroud. There you go.
Excellent. Better Mertesacker, Koscielny.
I think that's exactly as expected, really, isn't it?
Monreal, yeah, actually Monreal. I've been very, very disrespectful to Mr. Monreal this week, so I hope that doesn't come back to me.
He's not your favourite player, is he, Paul?
He's not my favourite player. Well, no, he is. I love him. He was because
he's shit.
Yeah, because he was so shit at Anfield last season. He was genuinely terrific. Like, so let's know your thoughts on that. Liverpool start 11 just come out there as Chris Page just read through. Chris, do you want to just read us through it? Read through the
subs, the substitutes are interesting because Sturridge is on there. We've got Brad Jones in goal, John Glenson, Dejan Lovren, Daniel Sturridge, Manquillo, Barini and Brannigan on the bench.
Yeah, I think he got a run out in the All-Star game actually, didn't he?
He's having mustard, him.
And there it is. There's the gag. There's the gag bar set very, very high for the rest of the live show. If you think you can top that, let us know. Can you stick the subs back on for us a sec, please?
There we go, mates. We've got Brad Jones, Johnson, Lovren, Sturridge, Manquillo gets a look in again, Barini and Brannigan.
No Balotelli.
No Balotelli, mate.
It's a strange one, isn't it?
He's got another cold.
Has he got another cold?
That's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah. No Ricky Lambert as well. That's a very strange substitute bench when you consider that Barini's in there. What I mean, Ricky Lambert, is he...
What's the point when Sturridge is there to come on though?
Yeah.
He just sits on the bench, doesn't he?
But
Balotelli comes on and Lambert's still on the bench half the time.
But the thing is, like Barini, you've got Barini on there. It's
a bit more mobility than Ricky Lambert.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've gotten... There's no... We always talk about plan B. I don't necessarily think we always have
they've got Mertesacker who's like 900 foot tall, isn't he? So you don't really need Ricky Lambert. You need little wiry guys who are going to run all over.
Well, I suppose that's a good point. If you're watching, let us know in the comments or tweet at the Redmen TV then your thoughts on the starting 11 and on the bench as well. Like like I say, the bench. I think there's a couple of strange things on there. Like I say, Ricky Lambert, just for me. Yeah, I know I think that's a great argument there. But there's a point to be made just having something a little bit different because. You know, it gives us an option to put them under pressure. I know Mertesacker is aerially dominant more so, but Arsenal in general aren't. You know, would have been nice maybe with 15 minutes to go.
More interesting, we've got Johnson, Manquillo and Lovren there really. It looks like he's hoping that he gets a chance to sort of defend something.
Yeah. Was it was Arsenal that Barini got sent off against, wasn't it, earlier in the season?
It's a great question, Jack. As always, calling our research into question.
Maybe he's been included in this one because he impressed so much that night.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is all.
Something not talked about, Paul Toure in. You know, there was many shouts for it, wasn't there? But the fact is, it looks from that three that he's playing the middle of the centre backs.
Yeah, I mean,
well, we debated that the other day, didn't we?
We did.
We thought the one thing he had going for him was his organisational ability. You know, we thought Lovren would get the nod because he's faster and he's probably better in the air. But Colo, brings that ability to determine where the back three play.
Hey, listen, Colo Toure, Jack. Let's go all the way back to the Bernabeu. He was sensational in that game. He led the defence fantastically. I like him. He's not started a game. He's started like one game this year, hasn't he? Which is a concern. But what's it say about Dejan Lovren? Is it just the case of he thinks he's taking out the final half of this season, or does he even have a future at Liverpool football?
Well, I wondered after the European game and the penalty, I wondered if that was going to be it for Lovren this season, and we were best just to get him completely out of things, let him clear his head for 3 months, and then get back for pre-season and so on. But he did come back in, didn't he, for a game or two, and he looked fine actually. So yeah, maybe that sends a negative message to him, this team today, that he's not involved. Kolo Touré, I think his reputation suffered a little bit last season with the 2 mistakes he made in the spring just before we hit our good run. But by and large, I think whenever he's been called upon, he's come in and done a really good job, and I trust him today.
I mean, Lovren's positional sense is not great, is it? So, you know, in that respect, I'd rather have Touré, you know, for this game.
And that positional sense with their movement could be really important as well. Giroud's a clever player. He's got 3 excellent players running off him, so that's going to be key, really.
What case is it? I mean, is it just he doesn't fancy him for that centre of 3, or is it a case of, you know, he was bought for a 4 and doesn't think he fits in with a 3 at all? It's a strange.
It's difficult. Look, he's not been great, has he? I think we all know that, of course.
That's got to be.
That's
and there we go.
understatement
The understatement bar set high for the rest of the day.
But look, I mean, you know what you're getting with Kolo Touré? Giroud's not the fastest player in the world, is he? So I'm actually quite happy with that team. You know, I'm actually glad that it looks like we're going to block the midfield off. I think that's where their strengths are. As far as the 3 centre-backs go, Lovren hasn't played in the centre. You know, we're all talking about it, but he's not played there. Yeah. At least Touré has done. Emre Can's been good on the right-hand side, so keep him there. Mamadou Sakho, I don't think you can move him anyway. So it's a choice between Touré and Lovren. It could be down to who's playing better in training. It could be Kolo Touré.
Yeah, that's it. But again, I think it all comes down to a big worry for Dejan Lovren, because that's your opportunity. You know, if that's what it is, that's worse. Surely, isn't it? You know what I mean? In some
for Lovren?
Yeah, for Lovren. Yeah, no, of course. I'd rather
have
it's
Touré seen as a tactical move for this particular game against Arsenal, and it's been explained to everyone with this team is specifically for this game, you know. And with Sturridge will probably be in for the next game anyway, so it'll have to change anyway. So
yeah, but for me, Jeff, that's you know, if what Chris is saying, you know, that hypothesis is true, and it could well be. You know, Dejan Lovren, Martin Skrtel, banned for 3 games. He should be rubbing his hands together with glee, knuckling down in training and doing everything in his power to convince Brendan Rodgers that that's his position in the team. And if he's not done that, then I say it all feeds back into this thing that is he going to be a Liverpool player on the team?
I tend to agree with John. I think it's more likely that this is probably
sensationalised with me, Jack.
A team for this game. I think that if we were up against you know, a couple of the teams lower down, well, not a couple of them, that'd be quite a prospect, just one of the teams lower down the league, and they had, you know, a couple of big strikers on there, I think we might see Lovren in there be a bit more aggressive. I think, you know, going back to the positional thing, I think it's important to have Touré on there just to watch what their runners are doing.
I suppose because you don't want Lovren diving in, jumping in front of things.
I want Lovren in the team, to be fair. Well,
yeah, but you know, given what we've said about his biggest strength and criticism is that getting in front of the man and winning the ball first. When it works, sensational thing to do, but when it doesn't, it leaves you completely and utterly
That's it. And again, going back to their midfielders, and you know, they can spot that a mile away, and if Lovren steps up, there'll be a little ball in behind and we'll be in major trouble.
What was their
I think
I'll
tell you what, I'll sensationalise with you. I'll answer the question you've been asking for about 5 minutes now. No. I don't think he's got a future if he can't get in now. You know, it's not the left-hand side. We know that with Sakho. A midfielder's playing the right-hand side. If he's not getting that centre spot, he hasn't got a future at Liverpool Football Club if we're playing 3 at the back.
Yeah, there you go. Do you agree with the notion I've basically just fed to Chris until he had someone vocalised it? Let us know in the comments or at the Redmen TV on Twitter.
I mean, that reference to the game at Real Madrid, I mean, Lucas and Touré both stood out in that game. Yeah. Playing a team, not that unsimilar to the way Arsenal play, you know, a lot of good movements on the ball, off the ball rather, and good control of the ball and movement.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe Rodgers just sees that in his head as a way to go.
Yeah, there's a big shout as well. Actually, you've mentioned there Lucas Leiva back in. I mean, Chris, for me, Lucas Leiva coming back in, it absolutely had to happen. Got a good run out in the All-Star game. We actually coped well without Lucas, and Joe Allen stepped up nicely. But you can see in games like this, you know, we needed Lucas last week.
Yeah, we did. You're right. I think, you know, I was of the opinion before the Man United game that Allen gives us a little bit more going forward. But in games against the top teams, you need a true defensive midfielder, one who's just going to run themselves into the ground and get the dirty work done at the end of the day. And that's why, you know, we missed Lucas against Manchester United. And that's probably why he's come in today, because it was obvious that we needed a little bit more in the midfield, because at the end of the day, Carrick and the Man United boys ran that midfield and there was no one first half. That's why Steven Gerrard was brought on, to get his foot into the game. Unfortunately,
Literally,
he
yeah,
did a little bit too much. And look, you know, he's Lucas is the man to come in today. And at the end of the day, the midfield that Arsenal are playing is, well, the attacking midfielders anyway. I'll leave that Coco van alone. Cazorla, Ramsey, Ozil, and Alexis. You know,
ludicrous.
That is ridiculous. That's a talented midfield, isn't it?
Ludicrous, he's not playing.
Ludicrous isn't playing. Like, there we go. And there's the gag. The gag bar raised even higher. Fantastic.
The thing about it wasn't just the United game that we were terrible in midfield.
Yeah,
Swansea as well. On both occasions they overran us in midfield because we only had Allen and Henderson, and we were outnumbered. So bringing Lucas is a no-brainer, really. You know, and played three. I mean, he could easily have just switched out Allen and Lucas, but you would have had the same result, I think.
Yeah.
So playing the three of them in there, I think, is the way. In fact, we said this on the show earlier in the week. It was the way to go, really.
I know there's a lot of people who feel like Lucas hasn't touched his 2010, 11, 12 form, but I think, you know, overall, when he's been called upon in the last season and a half, he's been excellent. Going back to that Villa game last year and beyond, actually, in December, he was in the team, wasn't he? Last year.
Well, there's absolutely no coincidence whatsoever that our best form, our turnaround in form, came when Lucas Leiva came back into the side. It's as simple as that. And I think I always wonder about this because Chris hinted at it there, and this idea that Joe Allen brings more and stuff. And I think that's the thing. We're always quite disrespectful, I think, of Lucas Leiva. I love him, you know. But even I would say, oh, but does he? You know, when you look around at, like, you look at what Emre Can can potentially bring, and you look at like what Matic has got as Chelsea, and you do kind of think, oh, wouldn't it be great if he could just play a 40-yard?
The problem with him
pass?
is that when he played fairly regularly in the past, all people ever saw was the little fouls that he committed around the pitch and didn't watch his game. But once he was out of the side, you then saw how much he missed him.
Yeah.
And I think people's appreciation of him has gone up. You know, since Villa last year, when he came on and did 20 minutes and absolutely, you know, got the game running again for us when we were 2-0 down, I think.
We were discussing, weren't we, a few weeks ago, Lucas or Allen, and at the time I said Allen, and I thought he's been there in all of our best performances over the last season and a half, 2 years. But actually, I think when you think about it a bit more, the very best performances have probably come when they've both been on the pitch.
Yeah.
That run that really kick-started our season, again after some poor form last year,
Yeah.
in December, they were both in the team, and
But
we were really
that's
good.
Tottenham game, famously, that three-man midfield.
When we were worried about being overpowered as well that day, weren't we?
Yeah, definitely. The interesting one, certainly. Chris, have you got some shouts for us on the old Twitter?
Yeah, Hugh Roberts at Hugh_Pen15. I think he wants to embarrass his little brother. He's put, thanks for teaching my little brother how to swear. No fucking problem, mate. And then he said, great show. And then over to the YouTube comments, Natish Patel has put, Chris, have you considered it maybe a diamond midfield with just Sterling up top, Coutinho at the tip? I don't know how that works, to be honest, because it looks definitely three at the back, two wing backs.
It could, just to throw it out there,
Yeah,
Emre Can could be playing right back.
Mm.
So you could have Torre, Sacco, Moreno as your back four, and then a midfield diamond, Lucas in front of the back four, Allen and Hendo either side of the diamond, and Coutinho
with Markovic and Sterling up top.
Or the other way, yeah. Well, yeah. But it's not. Out. It could be Coutinho further forward. It doesn't fit necessarily, but I could see that it could shit everyone up.
Yeah,
it feels like it would fit a lot if we had Sturridge in there. So it was like how we played second half against Swansea almost.
Yeah.
But it's like a hybrid team between the two.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to fit for me. Hey, look, it could be. You never know.
4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
So Lucas and Allen in front of the back four, and
Markovic, Henderson, Coutinho.
If so, I'd have to question what the logic behind putting Moreno at left back after the other week would be. Actually getting him more defensive. I'd worry about that, I think.
I mean, Rodgers has gone on record as saying that this season 10 on this formation. I can't see him getting rid of three at the back after one defeat.
The only problem is there a concern that we might have been found out in that formation? You know, we've had a couple of bad performances.
Well, we had a bad half at Swansea, and then we turned it around in the second half. We had a bad half against United, and we never really got the chance to turn it around properly, although towards the end of that game we were on top.
Maybe 10 men is how we need to play.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's exactly what we need.
Which one do we need to leave out?
But it's But what's noticeable in that though is that we changed the formation in the second half of both of those games. And the idea was to anyway. You know, we put Gerrard in, and we went ridiculously attacking in that second half in the Swansea game, and I believe that was the idea. Was supposed to be. If we'd lasted more than 41 seconds with 11 men on the pitch in the second half for that. So there was an interesting article actually, based tuned to Red on Twitter, as he put that out, that he surmised that we might go to, you know, he tweeted before saying he surmised we might go to 4-2-3-1. To be fair, we've been dreadful in that formation area in the season, so it doesn't necessarily fill you with confidence. But we probably will. Look, to be fair, we're probably going to stick with 3 at the back because, you know, it's work.
To be honest, I think the key to the game is having Sterling up front and in the middle so that he can run at their defence. I mean, that's what he does really well, and that's what will upset Arsenal. If we're going to win this game, you know, he's got to shine, hasn't he, today?
Yeah. Chris?
He's just come back in. Just to expand on his point, he meant a 3-6-1 almost with a diamond forward wing back still.
Mental.
How about a 6-3-1? That would be really good.
Fuck them right up.
I'd take a 6-3 today, that would do nicely though. A 3-6-1. You're on crack, lad.
That's
3-6-1, this is amazing.
It's the future, but we're playing, it's not, to be fair, we actually don't play far off that anyway, do we?
That's
we play 4-3-4-2-1 or whatever, don't we? So it's
that seems more like how we were shaped up against Swansea though, didn't it? Second half.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that setup.
So maybe not as crack ridden as Chris Pager. My first, yes, thanks very much for getting in touch as well. Natesh, good one, Chris. Let's just alienate all the people.
I alienated one person. Thanks for commenting, Alex.
Yeah, keep your comments coming in on the starting 11, the subs, how Liverpool lineup, etc. We'll be doing some more talk. People have said don't talk about Sterling, but we will, because you've got to. But we're doing that in a little bit when we're talking transfers and stuff, because again, why the fuck not? Markovic, I mean, I called it. Markovic back in, mainly because I don't think we've got any other options at the minute. But I mean, look, Jackie, he had a very slow start to his Liverpool career. Again, we go back to the Bernabeu again. You know, he put in his first really good performance there. Went out the team again, and when he came back in at the League Cup, didn't he? And he was like, "He's Bournemouth
in the European game and got sent off after 10 minutes."
Yes,
it was a bit like showing Gerrard how to do it. Not so fast.
And Barini as well. He was off quick, wasn't he?
Yeah, let's just yeah. But when he came back into the team properly after that, he looked a real asset. But you know, his form tailed off badly, and I think it was actually going towards the City game, I think, wasn't it? That he hadn't played. And he hadn't played in the European game as well because of his suspension. We all thought it's great, he's going to be full fit in Maverick going into this, and he had a stinker of a game, and he's not been good, and he's barely been in the side since. But he's got to come in at some point.
It's funny because we did our assessments of the summer signings, didn't we, back in late December, January maybe, and I know from me it was Manquillo and Markovic who got the thumbs up. And it's funny how things change. You know, neither of them have been seen all that much since. Yeah. Markovic had that really rich vein of form, didn't he, for a month, probably just before Christmas. But he puts the effort in, and he gets, you know, I think he gets the fans excited when he picks up the ball because he's so direct and he just goes for the D from wherever he is. But I think he became a bit predictable, and there was not much end product at the time.
I mean, I think he's probably the most gifted of the signings that we made in the summer. His ability on the ball is brilliant, and some of his passing is really, people don't really appreciate how good it is. But because he's got that sort of all action style, if he doesn't go past people, then his form's rubbish, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what starts to happen. He stopped attacking people.
I just wonder whether it was mentality wise, because he did a shift at left wing back, he got moved to right wing back, and he did very well. And then he got that chance playing further forward and looked terrific. And then he's getting booted back out to wing back again. I don't think we ever saw him get back to, you know, his form dipped massively.
Well, it's been a bit of a graveyard for our players, hasn't it? Wing backs. Yeah. Everyone who's played there has been rubbish. Yeah. You know, apart from Jordan Ive.
Yeah.
It's the sacrificial position a bit, isn't it? I mean, everybody's had to have a go there, and apart from Ibe, I don't think anybody's particularly excelled. I mean, you were talking about the 4-2-3-1 a little bit and how we're unlikely to switch back to that. I don't think we'll change this season, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's how we start the next season. And I think players like Sterling and Markovic suddenly find themselves with a much better window to demonstrate their abilities in that setup.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because you got something on Markovic there, mate?
Yeah, Oasis LFC. Markovic is great when he's playing in his natural position. Would love to see him higher up the pitch again. I think that's right though, isn't it? I think it's what you were talking about before, is that as he spat his dummy out a little bit when he got moved further forward and then gets shifted back to the right wing back position, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen enough from Markovic. There's been a couple of games, but that's it really. You know, the Sunderland one was the one where I really thought, yeah, he's playing well, but you're talking sort of 3 or 4 games over a 4 or 5 month period. That's not enough to me. That doesn't warrant a place in the first team regardless. Yeah. You know, you've got to prove consistently, like Phil Coutinho has over the last 3 months, that you can play at a high level, and that's something that Markovic hasn't proved yet. He gets his chance today. If he does well, he'll hopefully start the next game, and that's how he's got to approach it. He's got to approach it, as cliched it is, one game at a time.
I think we've got to remember he's only 20 and his form is going to go up and down.
Everyone's been inconsistent, and those type of players are likely to be more inconsistent than.
But it doesn't help that he's moved around in different positions. He must have played 3 or 4 different positions, which can't help someone come trying to get into the side. And he's really one for the future, I think. I think if Ibe is fit next week, which he thinks he might be, then the chances are Markovic will only be on the bench at the most. Yeah.
But I just want to see him get that chance to play in his, as you said there, in his natural position. He's not had enough of that this season, and I think that's the problem. The big weakness of us moving to that formation, it's helped us out in so many things. We've become so much more solid. We've been winning loads more games, but someone's had to do that shift, haven't they? Someone's had to be punted out of position, because we literally have there's a big gap in that squad, and maybe it's because Glenn Johnson's just not up to it. Maybe he was supposed to be.
It isn't just on the right, the left is the problem as well. Moreno's form has been dreadful. But he gets his place because there's no one else. Absolutely no one else.
I wouldn't say he's been dreadful.
Well, he was dreadful against United.
Yeah, to be fair. But you know what I mean. Is that? I wonder how much that was systemic. The fact that they clearly targeted an empty left back position.
When he started out in that position, he didn't seem to know how to play as a wing back. He didn't know whether to go forward or come back. And that re-emerged against United. He was caught in no man's land all the time.
Yeah, but I think when you say dreadful,
he was dreadful against.
No, but he was dreadful against. He's not been. I think he's been at a reasonable level throughout the season.
He's made too many mistakes, really. But again, he's only young. You can't expect them to be perfect week in, week out at that age. I don't think.
Just today.
I think his time with us has been bookended by mistakes, but I think, through the main bulk of the season, I think he's been excellent.
I think when we consider the weaknesses in the squad, it's not having a backup for him is an issue, but not having anyone at all who's naturally plays in that right wing back position is the big fault with this formation. Yeah.
Well, that's why he's brought Ibe back, isn't it?
Yeah.
To play in that position.
Yeah, true enough.
Because I didn't actually understand why he was bringing him back. It
made no sense.
And then he immediately went into the team as the right wing back. So
I feel like right wing back is the problem with the team, but left back is the problem with the squad. If that makes sense. I think that's where we are.
Yeah, very good. Chris, have you got anything you'd like to add, or do you want me to finish?
No, we can go over to Joshua Holmes. He's asking for a shout out for his birthday.
Happy birthday!
See, I wasn't going to do it.
What?
I wasn't going to do it.
Oh, never mind.
So we did it for you.
Yeah. You snide twat.
Scott Hodge, while we've been talking about Markovic, seen a lot of Markovic at Benfica, and his best position is through the middle. His pace is frightening with the ball at his feet.
I just want to see more of that from Markovic, and that's dead right. Look at with Coutinho, Markovic, and Sterling. 3 players there who just love having the ball. They love driving at people. It causes so many problems. It just gives defenders heart attacks, and I want to see opposition defenders having heart attacks. Not literally, because that's horrible, but in a footballing sense.
I think the shape we're playing though, and the thing that the system that's reinvigorated our system, it's a bit like one of these picture puzzles with a missing piece where you slide them round and something's always got to give, and I think
it's Rafa's short blanket analogy.
Yeah, it's almost like that. Yes, it'd be lovely to be able to push Ibe or Markovic much further up the pitch, or have Sterling there more regularly, but that causes problems with Moreno. Possibly, are we playing a back 4, or the centre backs sorted for that role? So I think we're sacrificing individuals for the greater good, really, for the time being, aren't we? Which sounds really sinister. but you shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to quickly go to the Twitter. We're asking you to for your topics you'd like discussed. Chris has got something he'd like to draw attention to in a moment. The question we're going to be answering is from Melbourne Cop at Cop_Goon. Who can we blame if we miss top 4? Want your answers to that? Tweet us at the Redmen TV or in the comments section. We'll come back to that question in a moment. But first, Chris, have you dealing with the haters in the comments?
Yeah, we've got an Arsenal fan in the comment, Ben Roberts. He's been just abusing Liverpool fans all day. King Bronson says Ben Robert rubs his dick to Diaby, posted in his bunk bedroom, and that's if he can find his dick. Yeah. Fuck off, Ben.
And that's if he can find any posters of Diaby. Remember him? Diaby's probably with him. That's where he's been. Keeping himself entertained. Like, such as on a serious note, I was actually thinking about this because we did me and Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV did our combined 11s this week, which boiled the piss of so many Arsenal fans. Because based on like pure ability, Abu Diaby is exactly what we're missing in our team, and exactly what they're missing in their team as well. If he ever got back to fitness and stayed fit, what a sensational player he'd be, and Ben Roberts, you'd be right to do that nasty act all over his posters in your bunk bedroom. So let's get back to the question. Melbourne Cop at Cop Goon said, who can we blame if we miss top 4? Throw some blame out, Jack.
Everyone, it's a team game, it's a squad. We've not been good enough. We were poor. We didn't get going at the start of the season. Suarez.
Yes, blame Suarez. Blame Suarez. Hey, we can do that now.
We can join everyone else.
Yeah, I think Jack makes the right point there, Dan. And we've said this a few times. Basically, since Christmas, we were so poor at the start of the season that we've made a rod for our back. We've put ourselves in a position where we're only ever one game from utter disaster.
Yeah, and that's so focused after the United game, isn't it? We've been brilliant since December, and we lose one game and we're up the creek basically. Yeah. That's because, as you say, we left ourselves with too much to do. Yeah. It's just criminal, isn't it, if you think about it, to actually go that long and be that poor.
Yeah. Thinking optimistically, the reasons why we were so poor at the start of the season might also be the reasons that we could potentially be brilliant next season. Players bedding in, it took a while, but I think we're seeing the fruits of that already. But we're having this discussion about players not being played in their best positions. Ibe was away on loan, he's come back a better player. Let's hope everyone flourishes in their best positions next year.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is we proved to ourselves since December that we're a team capable of challenging for the title. Because if we'd had just 10 more points from that first half of the season, when I think we lost 7, didn't we? We'd be up there now, and I fully expect us next season to be up there.
The fact is, what are we 7 behind City, which is I think at this point is, and if we were to lose today, is insurmountable. But I always come back to it. We've been shit. We were shit for half a season. We had no goals. We still don't have a proper striker. A consistent goal scoring centre forward fit and available to us. If we had that, and I know it's. This seems like the Liverpool adage, innit? You know what I mean? But that one missing piece. But I feel like we should be a lot further away, given how bad I've perceived us to be this season. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I agree with home pilot here. Having no goal scoring once Sturridge got injured is the reason we might miss out on top 4, and I think that's what it boils down to. At the end of the day, I blame Roy Hodgson. And I'm sticking by that. I love Luis Suarez. I'm not going to blame him for it. I'm going to blame Roy Hodgson. Bell end. Yeah. But there's so many reasons we were shite at the start of the season. I think there was a lot to do with the hangover from last season and the way that we got beat last season and we didn't win the league. The fans took a while to get over it, as well as the team, I think. And the first few months were forgettable as anything. But having no forward, we didn't strengthen in the right places as far as up top goes, and that is
we strengthened poorly in the
that's it, and that's probably right. We strengthened poorly, and I think if we did have someone who could bang in a few goals, we'd be a few further points up the league, and we're still feeling the brunt of that now. We're still playing Sterling out of position, and it's unforgivable really. We've had 2 transfer windows to get it right, and we haven't.
Well, it's telling. Let's go back to the team today and the bench. Fabio Borini's on the bench there. There was no chance he was ever going to start this game in the absence of Daniel Sturridge. No chance whatsoever. Raheem Sterling's gone ahead. We've got 4 strikers at the club, and Raheem Sterling has actually jumped into our second choice centre forward, which just tells you that there are volumes about how, you know, look, we all want Ricky Lambert to succeed because he's a Scouser and he's a good player. And Balotelli, by all accounts, is apparently a good player. You know, Barini is a decent player, but if they're not right for Liverpool, then we've wasted money on them.
It wasn't that long ago we said that our forwards between them scored 4 goals all season. It was something like December. They'd scored 4 goals, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, no one in that squad, once Sturridge was injured, was capable of winning those football matches.
It's embarrassing looking at the top scorers lists. I mean, I looked on one of the match previews this morning. You've got Arsenal with Giroud and Sanchez both on 13, and we've got 2 players on 6. And you know, coming from last season, we were talking in the summer, weren't we, about not having to make up 31 goals. We needed to be tighter at the back and spread the goals out a little bit more. And I think we've probably been better at the back, but we've not spread the goals around like we would have liked to.
But there's a big question then that sort of sparks, and if you're watching, I want to let us know your thoughts on this. There'll be a few Arsenal fans watching. Are Arsenal shit because, or what? Because we've just said there they've got both of their highest goal scorers have scored more than double our top goal scorers in the league this season. They've got 2 players who have basically scored more goals than our entire team. and why are they only 6 points?
That's not good enough, is it?
Yeah.
You need at least one person in your side scoring 25, 26.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you don't win anything.
But the idea that despite the fact that they've got Giroud who's meant to be good, and they've got Alexis Sanchez who's amazing, and they've still got, you know, don't forget they've got a £40 million Ozil and all that in the side. Why is there only 6 points different? Why could there potentially only be 3 points between these 2 sides? What are Arsenal, for all they're looking up to second place in the league, and you know, I think they'll go second if they win, albeit temporarily if they win today. You know, if they don't, they're right in here with us, with the Liverpool side who struggled all season.
We're a better side than them. I actually do. You know, I think they've actually had a really good run now recently, 6 or 7 games unbeaten. In fact, I think they've been all wins.
Yeah.
But before that, you know, they were there for anyone to take if they really wanted to. You know, I mean...
They started poorly, didn't they? Very poorly.
Yeah. I mean, they're just not consistent enough. And then they've always been weak at the back. And they've never really had anyone. I think Coughlin's come in and given them a bit of muscle in the middle. Before that, no one in that side really bossed them around.
They've had very similar problems really for 6 or 7 years now, haven't they? But I imagine if you're an Arsenal fan now, you're starting to feel quite optimistic about things because the squad's strong. I mean, if we had the variety and options in our squad that they've got, I think we've got a better team.
Absolutely. If you look at the team they're playing today, and that's without Arteta and it's without Wilshere, and you know they're coming back from injury apparently, so that's a great squad to have for the run-in, isn't it?
And they've started spending as well, which was always the thing that was holding them back. They were selling, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Chris, you sat there. Let's get you back involved. What your thoughts?
My thoughts on Arsenal is if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be slightly disappointed. I think over the last few years as a Liverpool fan, we've seen our club nearly bottom out completely, and we've had to deal with our fair share of ups and downs. But Arsenal have they tightened the belt. They didn't need to make the stadium. And then you thought once the stadium's done, they'll kick on, and they never really kicked on at all, did they? Now they might be doing better this season. They're not actually fighting. They're not in fifth at this stage of the season where they normally are. They're higher up the league. They always have a good finish under Wenger. But you'd think that with the money available to them and the players available to them, they should be challenging for the title this season.
Yeah. I want to know where is that title challenge?
Exactly, and they can talk about winning an FA Cup last season, but that was the first time in 8 years that they won a trophy. That's not good enough for a team of Arsenal's standing with the players that they've consistently had for those 8 years as well. Let's not forget, you talk about Man United bought Van Persie and they bought the league through that one signing. Well, Arsenal didn't win anything with Van Persie. Yeah. And if he can go and win the league with Man United, that one player is the difference. What were Arsenal doing wrong with him in the side when he was banging in 25 to 30 goals a season?
Yeah.
I think to look at Arsenal in maybe a sympathetic way, whilst they've had to sort of restrain themselves a little bit in terms of the spending and things going on with the stadium, this is the 7 or 8 years when the rest of the Premier League sort of setup has changed completely. And I think we challenged last year, but we felt very much to everybody else like an exception, didn't we? We came from nowhere and shocked everybody to challenge last year, when actually it's very much dominated by the three teams over the last 6 years who've had the cash to be able to sustain the positions at the top, and Arsenal have been cut adrift from that a bit.
It's just that I think it's a weird one for Arsenal, because I remember talking to Arsenal fans TV and talking to a lot of Arsenal fans at the end of last season, and they were so delighted with the FA Cup run. And look, if we get past Blackburn, we get to the semis, if we manage to get to an FA Cup final, listen, we'll be absolutely over the moon with that. But if we don't finish in the top four, this will be a disappointing season for us. For Arsenal, I don't know at what point is it unacceptable to not be challenging for the title? Because they thought they challenged for the title last season. I didn't see that. You know, they were top for a lot of the season, to be sure. Like, but you know, for me, and I know what it looks like because it stands out in the memory because we haven't done it loads. But you know, for me, if a title challenge is being in the hunt for the title until the last game of the season, and when was the last time Arsenal said that?
Nowhere near it. But I think that the fact that they finished fourth every year and got into the Champions League has disguised the fact that they haven't really been playing at the top level. Yeah. You know, because I suspect that if they slipped out of the top four a couple of years, Wenger wouldn't be there now.
No, absolutely. Chris, have you got some comments for us?
Yeah, we've got a few on ours actually. Blade V8, not really asked about them today. I think we'll do them everywhere if they've got gone that attacking and Sterling's pressing their back line. Paul B, Arsenal are underachievers. They have a ton of potentially good players who end not reaching their potential. And then Liam Carter, I still think his finishing is as good as it was last season if he gets the support of other players. That's about Raheem Sterling. Random enough. Sorry about that one. Probably should have vetoed that one. And Abdi Karim Mohamed Sanchez is really dangerous. He is really dangerous. Or he was really dangerous anyway.
Just on Arsenal's challenge last season, I think if I can't believe you've said that.
I've not done it since I was 12, man. It's fine. Just accept it.
It's all part of the Chris Pajak ride.
Arsenal's title challenge last season lasted about as long as Everton's, and they basically were neck and neck with Everton all season long. They were battling with Everton with 5 games to go, and Everton were high up the table in October just like they were. They went top, obviously, but that's what it amounted to, really.
Yeah.
You know, and ours didn't end the way we wanted, so you know, what can we say? But it wasn't exactly, they weren't running away with it. You know,
I think this is it. Look, it's a weird one because, like I've said, I would love a little bit of Arsenal's consistency. You know, give me a couple. If we get in the Champions League this year and get in the Champions League next year, if we only finish 4th for the next 2 seasons, I would be fucking deliriously happy with that short term. But if we don't then press on and start challenging for titles, that's not good enough for Liverpool, I don't think. And that might seem mental to people from outside, you know, looking from the outside looking in. And maybe that's us being, maybe that's where we're making rods for our backs in that respect. But for us, again, Arsenal fans who's watching, how long before you have to put a title challenge in? I don't get it. It doesn't compute with me. I'm devastated every season when we're not in contention for the title. And I understand like the comfort of being in the Champions League every year and being consistently getting into the knockouts, getting out the groups every year, having a little go against the quarters or whatever, maybe every now and again getting to a semis. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Arsenal fans, I know you're probably going to be kicking off left, right, and centre, but do it. Release your tension. Unleash your caps lock in the comments.
If you read things in the social media last year, the calls for Wenger's head were phenomenal all season. They just, wanted to get rid of it because they were unhappy with finishing 4th every year.
Yeah.
But, I'd be happy to finish 4th every year, as you say, for a few years. That would be nice.
Well, that's it. But that's the thing. The thing for me that's the difference is the short term. Yeah, I want us to get back and find that level of consistency, but it's then what happens from then. And I think that's it. People always go on about this notion of mediocrity. It's not mediocre being in the Champions League. It's a phenomenal achievement. You're up there with the best clubs in world football. The problem is though, at some point, 4th place will stop being enough. Particularly if let's be fair, Arsenal getting into the Champions League and not doing anything really in Europe consistently over that period. Well, they've been to 1 final in the last 10 years.
Well, the other thing is, of course, that the 4th place is now Up
danger,
for in danger because we're doing so poorly in Europe. And
Yeah.
so
Hey, listen, we've contributed to that this season.
Yeah.
We'll hold our hands up. We've not helped the coefficient very much this time around.
You may be having to get in the top 3.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a
Well, that's
different
that.
ball game altogether.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we'll move on from Arsenal because, to be honest, they've got their own problems to deal with. Let's get
Not
some
least today.
Yeah, we asked you again. We asked you on Twitter for some topics you'd like us to discuss. At 50 Shades of Colo said discuss Ozil's eyes. No. Someone said do not discuss Sterling. In fact, at Sterling says not Sterling. I'm sorry, we'll go on to. It's I thought that
before we talk about Raheem Sterling and his hang on, I'm just getting somewhere safe. Before we touch on Raheem Sterling and his contract situation, can we talk about him actually, playing up top today, because we've not done that yet, and the fact that he probably will add something to the team. I like Sterling up top. Yeah, he's not a great finisher, but he adds that sort of the pressing that we want to see from the rest of the team, and I think that's the thing that's let Daniel Sturridge down more than anything since he's come back, is the fact that his work rate and his energy just hasn't been there, and it needs that forward to sort of set the tempo, and we need that from Raheem Sterling today. And I really hope he goes out there and proves a lot of people wrong today, because there's been so much shit talked about Raheem Sterling this week. He just needs to go out there, forget about it all, and put in a good performance on the pitch.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, we'll come on to the story around it, but yeah, let's stick with today and the team. I mean, Daddy has to start. We haven't really got a massive options. He's a good player. He's actually
Sturridge was doubtful all week. So to be honest, and I said this earlier in the week, I was actually quite relieved Sturridge was injured. I was looking forward to seeing Sterling take on Arsenal's defence.
Yeah,
because I think his pace and his trickery is going to cause them far more problems than Daniel Sturridge with at the moment the way he is.
Yeah, that's it. A fully fit Daniel Sturridge is a threat for anyone. Absolutely any team in world football, Jack. But he's not there, and he hasn't been since he came back.
I feel like I'm looking forward to seeing him next season already. I feel like he's not come back in the form that we've seen him come back in before, and that's been a bit disappointing. His natural game probably isn't to carry the urgency. I mean, last season he had Sterling, Coutinho and Suarez buzzing around him, and he's not really had that this year in the same way. When now that he's come back, it's probably coincided with a bit of, whether it's the reason, it's coincided with a bit of a drop off in our performances, but he's just not looked like he fits in. So I'm hoping that we can get goals from him in the last 7 or 8 games, but I think we need to look at August for him to come back in fine form.
He looks to me like Fernando Torres in his last half season for Liverpool. He just looked like, I don't know, like the engine was broken. You know what I mean? So when his acceleration wasn't there, his movement doesn't seem right. He just doesn't look like the player he was.
Torres was that he actually looked fed up in his last few games for Liverpool. It looked like he didn't want to be there. I don't get that from Daniel Sturridge. No. There's enthusiasm there, but just not quite what we've seen from him in the past. But then he's been out for an awful long time. People forget, 4 months out is a long, long time.
Plus that build-up of pressure on him as well.
Yeah, and no pre-season training to give him that little core of fitness. Yeah. And we won't see that until next season. When he's got a full pre-season under his belt, we'll see what he's like then.
But back to Sterling, like I say, when I did my start 11 prediction earlier in the week, and I put Sterling up front because I felt that. I also predicted that Sturridge's injury was a ruse. Not sure it was entirely a ruse, but we talked about it, and how I wanted to see a replication of the Southampton performance. People have mentioned the Man City game at Anfield as well. Raheem Sterling, I think what everyone said there is absolutely spot on. What Sterling offers, it doesn't offer. He's not deadly in front of goal. That's what Sturridge brings. But Sturridge at the minute feels like all of our striking options in some regards. If you give them the ball inside the 18-yard box, all of our strikers will put them away. It's just, what are they doing around that? You know what I mean? And to be fair, the only player who's actually, of our striking options, who's actually come close to matching that is that few games Barini played, when we played against Sunderland, and he put himself about. He got involved in a couple of goals and what have you. Sterling he's what you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing finishing for his all round work rate. Does he then allow the players to get in?
If he could finish properly, then we'd have beaten United at Old Trafford because he had 3 gilt-edged chances.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
got into the box, perfect positions, and couldn't finish. And I think his finishing is better than that. You know, I don't think that is symptomatic of how his game is normally. I don't think he's Sturridge in terms of finishing, but he can put the ball in the net. I just hope that he's on that form today rather than the United form.
Well, carry on. Even if his finishing is not as good, I feel like with him in the team, we'll create more chances anyway. Yeah. So there'll be more opportunities to take, and more opportunities for other people as well. We'll be playing higher up the pitch because of him. So
I think their centre backs are vulnerable to what he's got to bring to the game. You know.
Let's hope so. Chris. Have you got any...
yeah, I'd just like to add my own thoughts on that and just sort of elaborate a little bit more on probably Jack's trailer thought as well. As the last few games we've really struggled because Sturridge isn't stretching defences and there's not been enough room for the likes of Coutinho and Lallana and the midfielders to run into. We've won a few games by worldies.
Yeah.
And that kind of proves that we're not creating enough chances, and I think we've seen earlier on in the season when Sturridge is there, or when Sterling is there, we are creating a little bit more space for the midfielders to run into. Dan Scott kind of agrees with everybody. We played our best football this season when Sterling played up front, just before Sturridge came back, so I'm quite happy Rodgers gone back to that. Arcadio AJM, he scored some important goals this season also, and a little bit different view, Meteor Rain TV, mistake choosing Sterling today, he won't be focused, and that's a good point actually as well.
That segues perfectly into what we were discussing, the wider issues with Raheem Sterling. Yeah, I'm sorry Sterling, yeah, but we're doing it now. Let us know your thoughts, of course, on Sterling, the contract situation, in his interview this week, in the comments, or tweet us at the Redmen TV. It's a very good point there, Jack. You know, focus is an issue. Brendan Rodgers just come out and said out, you know, he trusts him, he's a great kid, he works hard, he's got the right attitude, and he's seeing the right attitude from him. But, you know, that's all that anyone's going to go on about. If Raheem Sterling doesn't have a good game today, all everyone's going to say is it was a bad decision to put him into the firing line, given what's been coming out this week.
I suppose every individual, every footballer, every person is different, I think we all presume that Suarez knew that he was going to be on his way this time last year, say, and the performances from him didn't drop off. So Rodgers has already seen that happen. He knows Raheem Sterling very well, so I can only think that he trusts in him to put the performances in.
But I don't think Rodgers can be blamed for playing him. No. I mean, if he doesn't play well, that's probably his own fault, you know, from what's gone on. But, you know, I fully expect him to come out and you know, show what he's about.
Yeah, I think the good thing is, you know, he was in exciting form for England in the Lithuania game. He's played himself. It's actually, even though we've not seen it because we don't watch England, he's played himself back into a little bit of form in a more advanced role, which is actually strangely good for us in some respects, because it might actually be one of the few times where a player's gone away for England for us and almost come back a better player.
So is that cheers, Roy?
Nice one. Nice one, Raheem.
There's also that thing, he did make some comments about being shunted out to right wing back. So now he's back where he wants to be. He's got something to prove.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I think you're damn right. It's up to Raheem Sterling. I mean, the problem is, of course, is that, and it's the problem with Liverpool across the board, is we're putting a lot of faith in young men to deliver consistently when the pressure's on. But, and I say this all the time, much like this game in general, if you want to be the best, you've got to turn up in the big occasions and prove yourself the best. And that's the truth of Raheem Sterling today in this position. He's got the eyes of the world are going to be watching him and looking at his body language and his demeanour and analysing every aspect of his game. And look, similarly, Liverpool were going up against Arsenal. It's arguably make or break for the top four. It's certainly make or break for anything higher than fourth. Both Raheem Sterling and the team have got to go out there today and defy the odds.
Well, he's spoken about ambition, hasn't he? And he's got the perfect opportunity to demonstrate his own ability and ambition today and for the rest of the season by forcing. He's key to us. If he can force us back into that top four where we need to be, it might not be as far as we want to be, but we need to be there. That I would suggest is more. That demonstrates his ability and his ambition more so than hitching a ride on the Real Madrid or Bayern Munich success bandwagon.
Chris,
as a fringe player.
I think that's it. I think it comes down to and where Raheem Sterling sits mentally. If it's a case of he wants more money than Liverpool are currently offering, then he needs to justify it. If he just wants the extra money, then frankly, and without justifying it, then frankly, he can go as far as I'm concerned.
That's it, isn't it? I think, you know, there's a couple of schools of thought. I'm very much of the opinion that if he wants the money, we're in a good position contractually with 2 years left on his contract to sell him and make a lot of money. And I'd rather see that done this summer before his value drops massively. Or I'd quite happily see him tied up to a longer term contract, but it's got to be done on Liverpool's thoughts, hasn't it? You know, we've got to put the money down that we think he's deserving, and if he doesn't sign up for that, then sound. You know what? That's fine. Like,
what if we don't make the top 4 though this season? Would you rather keep him than cash in that case and have a squad that's more equipped to qualify next year?
If we don't make the top 4,
yeah.
It's difficult. If he's not going to sign a contract, then at the end of next season, if we keep him, we lose a lot of money for him. So yeah, I'd probably say sell him, because his value is going to be highest then. You know, coming into the last year of his contract, then, you know, what's he going to be worth? There's going to be a lot of people sniffing around. He's going to have another year of experience under his belt, and another year of training from Brendan Rodgers, who's a great coach of young kids. He's going to be probably at the point where he's about to fulfil his potential, and we're not going to be able to cash in on it. So sell him now while he's not had that training and that experience, and you know, while we get the most money for him.
Yeah. Here's a thing that's worth pointing out. What happens every time there's an international break?
Liverpool fans fume about something.
Correct, no, we've forgotten to run our sweepstake on this because it's been that long since the last international break. But I just want to point out that every single time there's an international break, there's some piece of news that comes out that basically sets Liverpool fans fucking into a frothing at the mouth rage. And it's very rarely is it based entirely in truth. You know what I mean? And the fact is, Brendan Rodgers is coming out and saying that there's no way he's leaving, and there's no way he's leaving in the summer. That doesn't necessarily say he's going to sign another long-term contract, but I wouldn't worry. I'm nowhere near as worried about it as such. And I tend to trust in the manager in those situations.
A lot of the fuss is normally generated by the papers.
Yeah.
The Daily Mirror in particular likes to sell our players in the international break. But this time, Raheem Sterling has come out himself and given this long interview, 20-odd minute interview for a footballer. It's unheard of. Oh, I know. You know, to the BBC.
You know what it was? It was one of those things where he's walked into the Lions' den without an exit strategy from that. You know, because he sounded like you watching like the parliamentary debates, you know, and they've all got
gone
one
in with a minute-long statement and then been asked 20 minutes with the questions.
but they've all got one line. So it was like Miliband kept saying fairness, and Clegg shouted some fucking Biff the Lion twat. But anyway, the longer you say it and the more you're stuck in it, the more you repeat yourself. And that's what all Sterling kept doing, was kept saying. But the more he said it, the more weird it sounds. Like, you mean the idea of being a young kid, it's not all about the money, blah blah blah. Just shh, Raheem, you're digging yourself a huge hole. Yeah, look, he's made his life a lot harder by doing that interview, to be sure. And this idea that he's flattered by Arsenal interest and all that, I think his agent's thrown him under the fucking bus there by all accounts. Like, and you know, and so there are obviously major issues there. But like I say, all I'd say is that every single time we have an international break, and every single time Liverpool are about to go into a big game, there's a story that comes out that says one of our players is leaving, or there's disharmony in the fucking camp. And I've never seen it. Under Brendan Rodgers, I have seen next to no evidence physically of any disharmony amongst the players. You know, there've been one or two bits here and there from shit players, but you know, by and large, the players have all bought into it. They all want to be there, and they all pull in the same direction for Liverpool Football Club. So time will tell on that. But there you go. Lastly, we've got a minute or so before kick-off. So, Chris, have you got anything you'd like to point out from the old Twitter?
Boo Majubu. Silly young man with a prat of an agent talking about Sterling. And one for Jack. Adnei Evgen. Great t-shirt, Jack. I love eels. I had barbecue deals. That was quite nice, you know.
Jellied. Yeah. So
tastes like chicken, Paul.
Quick question then. That's a minute or before the game kicks off. Don't forget, we'll be back at half time as well. If you're not sure where the link is for that, go to redmentv.com. It's embedded right there on the main page. Check it out. We're going to be reading through your first half analysis, comments, Twitter, YouTube, etc. etc. Is this make or break for top 4 for us, Dan?
Oh, absolutely. If it's not already broken, this will kill it stone dead if we don't win. Or draw. Draw will keep it going.
Okay.
Could be. I feel now like we need to win. Results could go our way even if we draw, but you know, I think we need a win for confidence, and that particularly after the weeks we've had after the last loss. I think going 3 weeks without a win would be horrific, really.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's make or break. I think it's as simple as that now. I think we'd be, what, 9 points behind Arsenal would we be if we lost this game, and potentially 8 points behind Man United. It's too much.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, Arsenal are a good side. They're in the best form in the league out of every team there. We've struggled at the Emirates in recent seasons. It's going to be a tough game, but you know what? I think we can still do it. I think we're always better as underdogs. I think we've had a good lead up to it with the international break and stuff. Everyone will be able to forget the Manchester United game and just focus on this game now. And I think hopefully we'll see the benefits of that.
Said Mr. Pajak, so let us know any more final thoughts on that. Like I say, look, you know, Liverpool definitely going to this game underdogs. Arsenal in phenomenal form, got some phenomenal expensive players in there, and ambition to finish in higher than their normal fourth. So it means that all Liverpool have got to go in there and they've got to win this game. Stranger things have happened. Football's mental and magic, and we fucking love it. Anyway, see you back here in 45 minutes for half time live. Ta-ra, and enjoy the game.